Today's all about Starboard and how I am going to be cutting it and installing it in my truck. First off, I'm going to be using a track saw. This one happens to be made by Festool. I really like these because you don't need a table saw. You don't need an extra person to help you feed material in and out. The Starboard panel that you buy is 54 by 96 if you're buying full sheets, so it's relatively big and cumbersome. And I find that the track saw is a great way to accurately cut sheet goods without any help or having a shop or anything like that. And so this is the saw. It's the Festool TS55, and this is the track. So with these two things, clamps come into the rails here, clamp it to your material, and that's how we're going to cut Starboard today. I also bought a brand new blade. This is just a melamine, and I don't know. It's a sharp blade, so we're going to use that. This is an actual sheet of King Starboard. It measures 54 wide, 96 tall, or however you want to put that. 96 wide, 54 tall, whatever. Anyway, it is very heavy. I just learned that carrying it inside. These sheets come with a protective film. I don't know if you can see this. This is a protective film that can actually be peeled off. We're going to leave that on until we're done with installation. Starboard needs gaps around it. I think they said a 32nd of an inch, maybe it's a 16th of an inch per foot of length. So if you've got, an 8-foot piece, you're probably going to want like 3/16 gap around it for expansion and contraction. You also cannot glue this product, or it's highly discouraged to attempt to glue it. There are people that have done it. You can buy a specific glue from 3M, I believe, and you can get it glued, but it's a process of heating it up, sanding it, making sure it doesn't, making sure that water beads off of it differently than standard Starboard, and then you can glue it. What we're gonna do and use a metal to wood screw, flat head, countersink those in, and use mechanical fasteners to install all of it. So here I'm starting my cut. I've got my Festool track clamped down tightly to the material, and I'm using the TS55 track saw combined with a Festool dust extractor. Works really good for getting all the small chips of plastic. It's really messy, actually, worse than cutting regular wood because you can't just blow the dust away. It's chunks of plastic. So I highly recommend cleaning up after yourself and trying to contain the bulk of the plastic as it's being cut. That's good. So I'm using a 2-inch screw to screw this in, and they're a wood to metal screw. So they are designed to go into aluminum or metal. And I'm got some holes already drilled here before I'm installing these screws. What I'm using is a 3/16 bit to pilot for the self-tapper. And after that I use a 1/4-inch bit just to go through the Starboard, and that's going to allow a little bit of expansion around the Starboard because the stuff actually does move quite a bit more than you would think. And then the last step is a simple countersink, so that way the heads flush out to the back of the panel. I'm marking out all of my holes onto studs. So being that this was a factory lmtv 1079 series, it had a box that was made by Stewart Stevenson, and it is a composite box, so it's 2-inch thick styrofoam core, but it does have aluminum studs in it, and they're not really on any center, but close to 16-inch centers. And so before I put the Starboard up, I pre-marked where all those studs were to run my metal screws into, and it does a really good job of holding everything together. It's like 8x8 aluminum rec tube that they used, and the box is actually extremely good shape. It's really square, it's flat, it doesn't have a lot of bows or wrinkles in it, so even though it was covered in holes from all the windows and previous features that it had, covering up the Starboard, it really made pretty quick work of it with the good substrate that I had to work with from the beginning. So that's pretty much it. This is a repeat of all day long for me, going through, screwing, pre-drilling, cutting, Starboard. All day I spent about 8 hours working on this, and I got roughly 2 walls done. I also got a couple windows installed, so all in all it was pretty good day. But I think this is where I'm going to sign off. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.